Ladies and gentlemen, the man who invented video blogging, Zay Frank.
This is Zay Frank, and this is some epic bullshit.
So I just finished a weekend at Vidcon, the annual conference for all things video on the internet, and this is what I discovered. I'm a very, very old man. Before attending Vidcon, I described it as a yearly gathering of YouTube stars and their fans. But now that I've been there, I've realized it's just a big old Nerdfighter convention. It's not too surprising because that is a movement that was started by the founder of Vidcon, Hank Green, and his brother John Green, the young adult author. If you don't know from Nerdfighters, click here for a primer, but essentially, Hank and John have promulgated a community of intellectual curiosity and radical decency that has found a real sweet spot of the early adopters of YouTube. But what's really extraordinary is how Hank and John have actively empowered this community to generate the culture they inhabit. Even with something as simple as a sign-off catchphrase, they make a declaration that sets an ethical code.
As we say in my hometown, don't forget to be awesome.
And DFTBA is not some throwaway, it's a call to action for their entire cadre to be their higher selves. It's a creed which makes clear you have the personal responsibility not only to make your own life awesome, but to make this entire community awesome. And Hank and John set the example for everyone to follow. They promote thoughtful discourse. They give credit where credit is due. They footnote. They stand up for the misfits and oppressed. They engage their followers. They even make philanthropy a team sport. And they have cultivated an on-screen style of genuine authenticity and guilelessness that many people try to emulate. But YouTube is much bigger than just the Nerdfighters, so Hank and John made a point of actually including a wide spectrum of performances on the live main stage. Now, that sometimes led to musical acts that fell flat because, well, they're not very used to playing live, and it also led to comedians who did not find the audience that perhaps they were hoping for. In fact, there was one person who was so out of bounds, we actually booed him off stage. And before you say that sounds like behavior that is too intolerant and unruly from a good nerdfighter who is trying to be awesome, I actually completely disagree. That might have something to do with the fact that I kind of instigated the booing, because as we know from 2 episodes back, I very much approve of the artful use of booing as a way for an audience to express themselves. The twerp we sent running from the stage was a 30-something comedian named Kyle Mooney. Now, Kyle has been around the block a bit. He's actually a teacher at the Upright Citizens Brigade, so he actually has some real cred to his name. And I will concede that they warned everyone that this was going to be a mature act, and if there were parents there with younger children who they thought might not be able to handle it, they should leave the arena now. However, I took that to mean it was going to be kind of a racy bit, maybe something like 40-Year-Old Virgin or Knocked Up. How wrong I was.
This Halloween, I'm going for Best Costume of the Year. It'll be easy to spot me, because I'll have 2 ladies going down on my Donkey Kong Donkey Dong. So what if I'm short? I'm always getting it in. That's what's up.
That's what's up.
Kyle trotted out 2 characters that evening, or not evening, I should say 4 p.m. This was not some late-night booze-filled crowd in a comedy club. In fact, the majority of the audience were teenage girls. Granted, most of them over 18, but still. He does a kind of conceptual anti-comedy. The problem is, his anti-comedy isn't funny. I get what he was trying to do, he just failed miserably and bombed harder than any comic I have ever seen on the stage.
And I'm sorry, but like, what is this Twitter stuff, huh? No, seriously though, come on. It's like, you know, I don't need to know that you just bought fresh avocado from the farmer's market, okay? I don't need to know that you just took a dump.
So he's got this shtick going on, but real anti-comics usually try to go around to the other side of unfunny, and they're so unfunny it pops back out as hilarious again. He never got there, and he wasn't going to get there in a million years. It was also such a challenge to the audience, and it was actually so bad, I was wondering if he was hoping that we were going to boo him.
Man, I had a good night last night. I met up with Tanya at her parents' house. Next thing you know, I'm in her room, 2 feet deep into that prime time punani. Whole place was shaking because of this player professional. And I got with her sister Maria. And 2 nights ago, I took out Katie. So yeah, I'm on pimp status overload.
At Vidcon, he gave a sex-laden TED Talk-like PowerPoint presentation where it climaxed with him describing what a pussy tasted like, with big pictures first of Starburst, then cereal, and then finally, dead, desiccated fish. Not cool. Did I mention the audience was made up primarily of teenage girls? And I was so aware of this fact that I actually felt like this was practically verbal sexual assault. Again, part of me wondered if this was some kind of Andy Kaufman stunt where he was hoping to enrage us. And if he was meaning to do that, then he suckered me in first because I started booing at this point. And as soon as I started booing, my friend sitting next to me joined in, and within about 2 minutes, the entire arena of almost 5,000 people all started booing this guy until he just left the stage mid-sentence and ran off. My first thought was, who the fuck invited this guy to Vidcon? I was trying to figure out if he was a big YouTube star who I'd just never heard of, because there are many, many out there that I'm still discovering on a regular basis. And in fact, that little clip I showed you before, that video had 126,000 hits. While that's not a huge viral video, that's still 125,000 more than any of my videos. In addition, he has over 80,000 subscribers and a total number of views that is nearly 9 million. He has a real following. This just wasn't it at Vidcon, because Vidcon is really a Nerdfighter conference. And as soon as he came off stage, Hank and John, to their credit, came right on out and said, listen, we were back there, we didn't actually hear what exactly went down, but we want you to know we love and respect you, and we will never let anything like that ever happen again. And while it's great they said that, I'm even happier that we actually didn't even need their protection. Because even though the majority of the audience were teenage girls who are notorious for not asserting themselves, we Nerdfighters have been so empowered that as soon as we detected someone who is diametrically opposed to the entire culture of Nerdfighteria, we took action and let them know that they forgot to be awesome. And we were having none of it. My name's David Rodwin, and this was some epic bullshit.